Art thou ready to speaketh about Shakespeare, Tess?
Yes, Craigeth, I am ready to speaketh about Shakespeare. Let's go. Welcome back, everyone. If you're returning here, welcome all you kind and gentle people. Also, riffraff, you're welcome too. Come on in. Everybody's welcome. I hope since last we met that you are all doing well and enjoying your February. Today, I am told there's a thing called Tag Tuesday. And since today is Tuesday, I decided I would try a tag. A little scary, but I'm going to go for it. I apologize that I can't remember who is the originator of this tag, but I saw several people doing it. Of note, mostly was Hannah from Hannah's Books, because she was doing it with her Shakespeare expert. I think his name was Abraham. I apologize if that's not correct, Hannah. But it was the most wonderful tag I've seen. She was looking on her son with such loving eyes, and it was one of those videos that I'll never forget. So thank you for that, Hannah. So I am going to try my best to answer the Shakespeare tag questions today. So forgive me if I need to look at my notes just for the questions, because I do not have a teleprompter or anything like that. So I always do these off the top of my head, which has advantages and disadvantages, but nevertheless, that's what's happening here. So the first question on the Shakespeare book tag is, what was your first exposure to Shakespeare and how did it make you feel? Well, sorry, I have the sniffles today, so forgive me if I get some little sniffles. My first exposure to Shakespeare, I believe I was in grade school, maybe like in 4th or 5th grade maybe. We had a beautiful library in our little town in Wisconsin where I spent a lot of time. And I remember pulling out some plays and poetry. And the day I pulled out a Shakespeare play, I think it was A Midsummer Night's Dream, if I remember correctly. And I was just like, did not understand anything, and was dumbfounded by the language and perplexed and intrigued, and so I couldn't wait to learn more about that. And then the next exposure was in 9th grade. I think everyone in our state of Wisconsin read Romeo and Juliet in the 9th grade, and I had a good teacher, and I was enthralled and hooked for life on Shakespeare. So it was a very positive experience. I enjoyed it, and that was that. The next question is, has a work of Shakespeare ever brought you to tears? I'm going to say yes. And it was with that same, I think it was when I saw the Franco Zeffirelli movie of Romeo and Juliet when I was very young, probably in the same 9th grade or 10th grade. And I do remember shedding a little tear then. And the other time is Nell Quickly's monologue in Henry V. I think it was Act 2, Scene 3, where she is describing to Falstaff's friends the moment of his death. And it's a very moving scene. I cried when I read it, and then I cried when I saw Judi Dench in the movie of Henry V just brilliantly give that monologue. Incredible. And that is the monologue I'll be reading at the end of this video. The next question. Has anyone played a significant role in your Shakespeare journey? I'll say yes. I'll bring up two people. One of them is Elizabeth Gilbertson. She was my ninth grade, my 11th grade, excuse me. She was my 11th grade British literature teacher. And she was a legend at my high school. And in fact, she was also my mother's British literature teacher when she was in high school. And she was a very close mentor of mine. We talked a lot about Shakespeare together, and also I was the editor of the yearbook, and she was the advisor for that. So we were very close, and I love her. And that was her last year of teaching. She was probably at least 80, but she seemed like she was 100 at that point. But yeah, she was very influential. And the other person I'll say is Sir Ian McKellen, who I saw perform in King Lear at the Guthrie Theater in Minneapolis. I've had a lot of extremely astounding theater experiences, but this is one. I was with my two daughters, Catherine and Abigail. I was sitting in between them at the Guthrie Theater, and we were just awestruck. It was the most amazing performance, and he made me love that play, and what an astounding performance. Sir Ian McKellen at the Guthrie Theater in King Lear. The next play, do you have a favorite book or film about Shakespeare? I'm not really sure what this question means for sure, but I don't know if my answer qualifies, but I'm going to say it anyway. I recently read the book, as many of us did, Maggie O'Farrell's book Hamnet, about how Shakespeare, although Shakespeare was unnamed in the play, we know it's in the novel, we know it was he. So it was a very moving book. I loved it. It was my favorite book that year. So if that is a book about Shakespeare, which I think it is, Shakespeare adjacent, that's what I'm going to choose, because I can't think of another one. Okay, the next question. Which character in Shakespeare is most like you, me, and why? Well, I'm going to name two. One of them is from A Midsummer Night's Dream. And in that play, Hermia is described by Helene, and she says about Hermia, though she be but little, she is fierce. And that quote I have framed. I have people always send it to me. She is describing Hermia because of her determination and her general fierceness and determination, and it resonates with me because I measure in at 4 feet 11 inches. And I have been known to be called a little fierce at times. So I'm going to say Hermia from Midsummer Night's Dream. And the other one I'm going to mention is, even though it is a male character, the character I really adore is Horatio from Hamlet, because he is, again, fiercely, to use that word again, loyal and honorable and well-educated and intelligent. And I really love his character, and when I'm at my best, that is what I strive to be. Loyal, dependable, intelligent, wise, and steady. So I'm picking Horatio for my character. Next question. Which Shakespeare play would you most like to see performed on the stage, and why? Well, I have seen a lot of Shakespeare on the stage, both in California and at the Guthrie Theater, in New York, in London, in lots of places. But one play I have not seen but would like to see on the stage is Othello. I think it's a great play and I would love to see it, and I have not. So the next question. What actor would you most like to have seen perform Hamlet in their prime? Well, that's a good question. I have seen Hamlet many times, but if I'm searching through history for someone, or not even, far back history, but recent past, I think I would like to have seen David Tennant when he played Shakespeare in London not too many years ago. I think I would have liked to have seen that because I do love David Tennant. So that's what I'm picking for that question. Next question. Do any Shakespeare plays intimidate you? I'm going to say no. Intimidate? No, I'm not easily intimidated, and definitely not intimidated by a play. I have not seen Coriolanus, and I'm not excited to see it, so I wouldn't say I'm intimidated by it. Oh, forgive my sniffles. Intimidated is not the right word, but I'm not in any hurry to see it. So I'll say Coriolanus. What tips would you give to an intimidated reader approaching Shakespeare for the first time? Well, here's what I would say, and here's what I said to my grandchildren and to Craig, who was seeing some Shakespeare plays for the first time with me. I said, just research what the general plot is about. Just know that before going in, and then listen to it in some way, in a movie or on an audible presentation or in a play. I think it's meant to be heard and easier understood if it's oral instead of just reading it. I think it will go better for you, and just to relax and luxuriate in the language, because if you're stressing out about what does that word mean, then it will not be an enjoyable experience. So I would say know the plot points before going in, and then let yourself luxuriate in the language. The next one, what is your favorite play and why? I think in the past, I have seen Hamlet the most, and I do love Hamlet. I think it's inexhaustible. I think you can never stop learning from that play, and I do adore it. But since my aforementioned experience with Sir Anthony Kellen and King Lear, I do love that play too, although it is so devastating. I'm going to, on the strength of Sir Ian McKellen's performance, I'm going to say my favorite is King Lear, but Hamlet's a close second. Finally, it says the intimidating part. Talk about intimidating. Now I'm intimidated. Read your favorite Shakespeare soliloquy or speech. So I'm going to read the aforementioned Nell Quickly, Mistress Quickly, she's also called, or Hostess Quickly, from Henry V, Scene 2, Act 2, Scene 3. And she is describing the last moments before her friend, Sir John Falstaff, died. Nay, sure he's not in hell. He's in Arthur's bosom. If ever a man went to Arthur's bosom, it was he. He made a finer end and went away as if he had been any christened child. I parted He parted even just between 12 and 1, even at the turning of the tide. For after I saw him fumble with the sheets and play with flowers and smile upon his fingers' ends, I knew there was but one way. For his nose was sharp as a pen, and he babbled of green fields. How now, Sir John, quoth I. What, man, be of good cheer. So he cried out, God, 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 3 or 4 times. Now I, to comfort him, bid him he should not think of God. I hoped there was no need to trouble himself with any such thoughts yet. So he bade me lay more clothes upon his feet. I put my hand into the bed and felt them, and they were as cold as any stone. And then I felt to his knees, and they were as cold as any stone. And so upward, and all was as cold as any stone. Thank you. Thank you. That's very emotional. Thank you so much for paying attention and listening and staying with me. And I really appreciate you, and thank you so much. I'm full of gratitude. So until we meet again, fare thee well.